Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
It's Wednesday, November 23rd. I'm GHK Lalo on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1, 99.5 FM. Welcome to the midweek edition of the National Outlook. I hope that the week has been going well for you and that today will be just the same. Coalition government did no assessment of oil spill risk before preparing national oil spill plan. Document not in keeping with international guidelines or best practices. That was from last Wednesday's Kaieteur News, and it was from the Auditor General report. No assessment of oil spill risk. Oil spill plan is deficient. I think that's what the Auditor General is saying, and I think the facts of his investigation, of his review of what we have, speak for themselves. Government after government hurt us. They do wrong by us. We put our trust in them. We look for them to look out for us. We look at them to be there for us. And we end up flat on our faces repeatedly. In the last 60 years, I'm thinking of one government that may have done decently for us. For sure, when you put them side by side, one may have done better on this thing or for this little window of time. But most of the time, all of them have done poorly for us. They've done very poorly for us. And this is what one instance that the Auditor General has brought out in his report, when he's saying that there was no assessment of the risks involved in an oil spill. How are you going to put out a document that doesn't have an understanding, that does not have a full grasp of what is involved? What are the oil spill risks? What are the probabilities? What's the likelihood of this happening? And because it's high, low, or medium, or non-existent, therefore A and B and C has to be put into place. We build a document that says that I have to answer the bell, you have to answer the phone, that one has to run out there and pull a switch, and the senior ones have to make these calls and put these systems into place. And those things, all those step-by-step arrangements as properly documented, as broadly written down in a manual, in an operating procedure, what it does, it must match up. It must be very close to what international guidelines are. And what the Auditor General was saying is that, look, what we have in place, what the coalition put in place, it doesn't measure up. It's defective, it's deficient. In other words, it's far from what is acceptable. So my point is this, why I brought this up. We've had the previous government. We've had governments before that one. We've had this government. And we always seem to end up in the same boat with the same kind of people. PPP, PNC, AFC. We have been cursed. We've got some good, but you've got to look for them with a microscope. And then you've got to look for what they do with a bigger, fatter microscope that can pick up specks and mosquitoes floating about. So tiny are the good things that they've done. Because they're overwhelmed by the environment, they are overpowered by colleagues who've got other ideas, might be senior to them. So we have been failed and hurt by our governments. That's where I'm going with this. And unless we get some smarts, unless we develop the strength to stand up and say, we have for prosperity. That's been our history, hasn't it? I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.9 to the National Outlook.